Welcome to Industries Live. For anybody that has been joining in over the last half hour, we just had a great conversation with Stripe. We're looking forward to an equally interesting conversation with Databricks here coming up. Thanks to everybody that's joining in. Please drop in the chat where you're joining us from. We just got a few people that dropped in. They're coming in from England, London, Brazil. So please keep dropping in where you are joining us from. We love to call you out. And if you have questions throughout the episode, drop those in. I'll be monitoring the chat in real time. And please mark your calendars. Every other Tuesday, Industries Live is featuring a different set of partners solving different industries' challenges. So that can be everything from what we see in media and entertainment to financial services like we're doing today. I'm Dr. Karen Hildebrand. I lead our partner solutions architects for a number of different industries at AWS, including financial services, healthcare and life sciences, telco, media and entertainment, games, and sports. And I'm joined by my co-host, Addy. Addy, go ahead.
Thank you, Karen. Hey, folks, I'm Addy Dubhashi. I'm the partner practice lead for financial services. And so our team works with our partners to create those industry solutions that can really help our customers accelerate to the cloud and see business value. Something we're going to dive in today is financial fraud and financial crime. And in the previous session, we had Stripe who really talked about payments and banking fraud, the financial crime systems that need to modernize and the way that they're really disrupting the space. But the space is so much broader. And that's where we thought it would be a great opportunity to have on Databricks, who kind of is approaching this in a holistic way at the data level. So really excited to have Antoine from the Databricks team on and keen to have that conversation. So Antoine, great to have you on and would love to get your intro.
Yes, sure. Hi. So thank you very much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure being here with you today. So Antoine Amend, I lead our financial services vertical in our industry team here at Databricks. Former industry practitioner, my job is really to connect tech to business and business back to tech. So thinking in terms of all the different business use cases that we support on our platform, and working with key customers across the world, across different markets and segments in financial services.
So we talked a little bit, Antoine, as we were getting ready for the session about where we worked at prior to the jobs that we're in right now and how that helped us be both a customer and now understanding what that conversation looks like on the tech side of the house. But here today, we're a little more interested in kind of what are the use cases that you get to hear about? What are the customer conversations you get to have now that you are on the tech side and you get to talk to all of those different customers? What are the common things that you're seeing?
Yes, no, thank you. So financial services is our largest vertical at Databricks. So we work with over 1,800 financial services customers, and that includes insurance, P&C, life insurance, retail banking and payment, capital market, buy side, sell side. So fraud is prevalent. Fraud prevention are prevalent use cases, are key value drivers to our platform. So we're on the front row seats of all the different fraud prevention techniques and strategies that we see across the globe, across different markets. And as we said in the previous session as well, about how different patterns that we see evolving in different markets are being ported and into other subsegment verticals. So that's really fascinating, from the use of computer vision to natural language processing, obviously now being disrupting with generative AI technologies, and how fraud is becoming that data problem that we have to solve because there are so many different types of fraud and the data landscape is so wide that bringing all that information in one place is critical in building modern fraud prevention strategies.
And this is a fascinating space because I remember, Antoine, I think back in the day when I was at a large investment bank, the common challenge that organizations had was just the silos of data. It was what would slow down, teams and quant teams and investment analysts from being able to really just make most of the data in their own organization. And that same problem kind of extended across the organization because of workflows that were heavily manual or required a level of constant human in the loop approval. We've been able to leapfrog ahead of that, and Databricks has been right at the heart of that. What's the journey you've seen when Databricks has conversations with customers and when they're looking to kind of consolidate their broader data silos? It's a massive area that doesn't allow to get those insights that we need in financial fraud or financial crime.
Absolutely. I think every single organization in the world is somehow going through those critical transformations. Now, accelerated with the use of those new technologies, we don't have a choice than to evolve, to transform our business to become that data-driven organization. So it's easy to say, but to your point, there are lots of different silos, lots of different technology debt, technical debt, legacy that we carry with us. How do we bring that level of transformation and not breaking things that we're running for the last 20, 30, 40 years, right? So that kind of evolution I've seen and we've seen over and over is really about embracing those open source standards, embracing the latest and greatest of the technologies out there, and enabling that interoperability between the different systems. So to give you a concrete example, now I'm sure that you've heard about the concept of fusion data center, when it's not just fraud. We need to bring AML, we need to bring fraud, so compliance, fraud, cybersecurity under the same roof to start addressing those complex threats facing our organizations. How do we break those silos? How do we consolidate that data estate and then bring all the data science, machine learning, AI, Gen AI, but equally the BI side of the world, the reporting, the analysis, and bringing that under the same roof?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting too. When you're thinking about bringing all that data together, what types of new insights you can gather. And we talked a little bit about, geospatial, and I'll give a call out to all the different countries that are joining. I think we have Senegal, Guatemala, Canada, Spain, Portugal again. So again, keep dropping all where you're coming in from. I think it's interesting for us to understand, how do you break down those silos when you're thinking about the disparate signals you might be getting from a fraud perspective related to geospatial awareness?
Yes, that is an excellent point. Geospatial has been around for quite some time, but I think we were looking at this from purely a rule-based. Have you been in that location before? Yes or no? So it's not necessarily geospatial, it was more reference lookup, right? Where now we start bringing those different worlds together is the concept of behavioral science and geospatial, that it does not look like you. You're not supposed to be here at that specific point in time because we know you. Because as a bank, we started to deepen our relationship with our customers using those technologies offered to us. So understanding shopping behaviors, shopping patterns, understanding when most likely that transaction does not belong to you. I think that was a good example that we had with one of the largest banking institutions in Brazil, where they realized that geospatial could define those what they called safe boundaries, safe like geofencing zones, where they know that if you're not in those specific zones, that's most likely a fraudulent activities there, and they will be preemptively blocking some capabilities of their mobile banking application. So creating really geofenced applications based on customer behavior. That's impossible if you've not broken those kind of silos beforehand.
And customers kind of just can embrace this so easily. I remember, once upon a time, in order to travel, I had to inform my bank saying, I'm going to go there. Please do not switch off my card. And today it's just taken for granted. It might be a very quick click in an app, or I might not even do it. The bank knows that I am traveling, or the nature of my movements are across geos. And so they would be able to preempt that. There's a level of intelligence that's been able to come into these platforms, and it's because of the integration. So Databricks integrates seamlessly with AWS services. Talk to us about how all of that has been kind of coming together, Antoine, and how are you seeing those intelligent insights we're able to bring customers, even maybe looking forward from today?
Yes. So just to piggyback on what you previously said, I think that this is critical. This is where the world of what was for hyper-personalization in the past is joining that world of fraud prevention. How do we bring those two concepts that were completely sitting like apart from one another into one cohesive fraud prevention strategy? So now underneath is that technology challenge that we need to solve. I briefly mentioned about those open standards. That's simple data access, one single copy of your data without having to rely on 6, 7, 8 applications that we need to stitch together. That's the concept of a lakehouse architecture. Now, in order for work, the concept of a lakehouse architecture needs to be embedded as part of your cloud offering, as part of your cloud storage. So natively integrating with all the core compute of an AWS platform, having access to those cloud storage, but connecting to the wider ecosystem, from getting those transactions seamlessly flying in a data intelligence platform, leveraging things like Kinesis. How the models that you build needs to be interoperated back into core operation systems. So maybe connecting back to the SageMakers of the world. How do we bring those different capabilities under one cohesive strategy and not having to rely on a patchwork of different technologies to solve specific challenges in isolation?
I think that's really important when you're talking about it from an architectural standpoint. And I think this is a great extension to what we were talking about with Stripe in terms of the real-time inference and being able to make the right decision with the lowest latency possible. But you also had a really interesting statement there about BI. So tell us a little bit about how do we actually retrospectively look back and inspect as well?
Yes. Absolutely. So BI is prevalent in financial services, right? It's what powers financial services in many different aspects. But for a long time, BI would not work if the data is not on par, if the data quality is not necessarily there. It's not just having a shiny, fancy dashboard that will make that difference. It becomes that data problem, that data quality aspect. So when we consolidate all that data, we bring the discoverability, the audit, the lineage, we bring the comfort that we're looking at the right source of information that then we can plug into a BI dashboard. But any single time you have a question, why do you have to rely on an engineer to recreate that view, that cube, that OLAP cube, just to solve that specific question of yours? What if you could interact in natural language? And because AI built on top of your data governance understands your data, understands the topology of your data, the lineage, the traceability, how to join those different data sets, then you can start bringing that level of democratization that we are seeking for the last 20 plus years. No longer having to rely on ad hoc queries and analysis anytime you have a single question that can be powered directly from more intelligent BI frameworks like Databricks.
And we're going to see customers, especially heads of risk and heads of security, need these platforms to really apply all of the data they have and identify financial fraud or crime early on. They constantly are getting new forms of attack, whether they're deep fakes or false claims that may be coming in an insurance process. The game is evolving very rapidly. And in order to keep an edge, we really have to apply the latest on the data. So, Antoine, tell us some examples of what you've seen. I think insurance is such a unique space where fraud is significantly stepping up. The market is anticipated to have fraud increase by over $100 billion over the next 2 years, which is just massive. What's been on your radar when it comes to new forms of fraud and what's happening in sectors outside of kind of core payment and banking systems?
Yes. So insurance is our fastest growing sector within financial services. And fraud, so typically part of a claim and fraud prevention is again a key value driver to our platform. The technology has evolved to a point that bad actors might exploit those new technologies. And at the same time, insurance that are not necessarily on par in that kind of transformation, you will see that massive disconnect. And so what we are seeing now is, and that's the reason that urgency of transformation in insurance. So a bad actor now might be generating fake images of a car accident and submit that to their P&C insurance carrier. Now, what I find fascinating with that use case is that if you take a fake image and you feed that into AI, many models will not be able to detect if that image was forged. So how do we address that problem when AI itself is not able to understand that this image is fake? It's all about the context. And the fact that we extract information from that image does not correlate with the information that we have about our customers, does not correlate about the information we have about the narrative in the claim. You were saying that you were driving 60 miles an hour and that you pumped the brakes, but there is no skid mark on the picture. Or maybe you were saying that it was raining on that day, but we know about weather forecast at that specific geo point and geolocation. And the picture shows that the road was not wet at that time. So all of those correlation of different signal and bringing the reasoning capability of an agentic AI framework is what is able to detect those most sophisticated threats out there.
That's super fascinating because obviously in other industries, we're talking about digital authenticity, and certainly that's a big conversation in digital publishing. But to think about it in the context of insurance, if you're an insurer, what are your motivations then to very quickly move towards this transformation to be able to detect? What are the common kind of accelerating factors to help an insurance provider to be able to think about this type of fraud most quickly?
And I think there is the insurance landscape that is changing and that is driving also that urgency and centered around that customer experience. If I raise a claim, I'm probably in that most emotional distress possible because I'm like facing an issue right now. The last thing I want is having this blocked for the next 45 days because I need my insurance to be there right here, right now. And I would be keen to work with a more digital company who can insure me and adapt my premium based on who I am and based on how I work, rather than just some credit score from the past 20 years or some demographics that are no longer of any use. Right? So there is that urgency of that digital engagement. And I love how we can tie fraud back to customer experience. Because better customer experience means more wallet share, and more wallet share means more personalization and better customer experience. And we get really that kind of virtuous cycle.
And this is such an important...
Go ahead, Addy. I'll get the side comment after this.
Thanks, Karen. And I think you're calling out something so important, kind of that there are two sides of the same coin, right? Having one consolidated data strategy allows you to have control on the financial fraud and financial crime that's occurring in these spaces, what's evolving. But also having that data well organized allows you to have personalization, better recommendation, finding the right product at the right time, next best action. Most CIO conversations we've had with insurance leaders, they're looking for opportunities of upsell or cross-sell in order to bundle insurance. And so as soon as you can help your customers resolve a challenge, it's the perfect time to say, well, we're good at helping you with the challenges you just faced. How about you want to bundle all of your insurance packages with us? It's a fantastic way to engage customers and then increase footprint.
But this is what I find the most fascinating in those large-scale transformation, because data is becoming a data asset that can be reused across a variety of different use cases. So if you think about hyper-personalization, as we mentioned, customer segmentation. Segmentation is not a use case. It becomes a data asset that fits so many use cases, all the way from your lifetime value, churn prevention, next best action, to fraud prevention, to KYC, to AML, to all of those different use cases that may happen in banking. I think there was that great example that Capital One pioneered a few years ago that I implemented myself in my previous life around the concept of transaction embeddings. They did that 10 years ago when embeddings was not the rage. Now everybody knows about embeddings. How do you start learning brand affinity, shopping pattern as a way to better segment users based on their behaviors rather than their demographics? When you build vectors that encode human behavior, spending behavior, that literally feeds every single use case you can think of in retail banking. The same is happening with insurance, with the use of telematics data. The same can be used in so many different angles. Telematics for fraud prevention, that's a no-brainer.
I'm going to combine two people's questions here from Uma and Peter. Can you tell us, Antoine, people are thinking that are joining in here, Databricks is a horizontal company. How do they verticalize? What are the solutions that you have that are specific for FSI? And are they powered by GenAI, or do you have specific vertical offerings and expertise that people could read more about after the show?
Yes, so we are a technology platform, but now we worked with so many different customers across the world that we've been able to really build that kind of expertise, expert opinion about what good looks like in terms of platform, in terms of governance, in terms of security offering, all the different bells and whistles that comes with the data platform, but curated specifically for the industry needs. Financial services, obviously, we're all in behind like governance and security and compliance. And not only you solve that problem from a compliance and security standpoint, but then you start, to our point before, unlocking the power of data for all the different underlying use cases where we've built best practices, design patterns, guides, and partnerships specifically to address those use cases. So think really about the best practice of the platform coupled with the ecosystem that is contextualized for the industry we talk to.
That is so important. And I think this is one of the reasons that allows us to differentiate ourselves as Databricks and AWS. We are building the Lego blocks that are going to help our customers to solve for their business needs. And it's allowing them to have the flexibility of choosing what they would like to combine and how they'd like to combine it. And so as an example, sourcing data via AWS Marketplace or an AWS Data Exchange, having that in Databricks and then connecting that to QuickSight in order to get business intelligence insights is something that we're kind of set up for the financial services industry. So it is very much tools that are horizontal, but then bespokely built for vertical application. And we have those patterns that we've constructed together that really can help our customers. I think that's one of the reasons Databricks is an FSI competency partner to AWS. And we drive a numerous set of workshops and customer engagement sessions. And so if anybody is keen to learn more, we're going to put up some links there to give you a whole picture of what's available. But also we have dedicated journeys that we're able to run for our customers, along with our mutual consulting partners who are happy to run these with us on the road. So please reach out if you need anything there. But just thought I'll make a quick plug there.
We have lots of joint customers, obviously, but lots of joint partners indeed, who can provide the level of information that they do in a nice, seamless way, using those open source foundation like data sharing, leveraging our respective marketplace, and bringing data directly to core business processes.
And because this is Industries Not Live, not just Financial Services Live, we also have another question coming in from Uma to say, what are the other industries that Databricks has expertise in and that they can dive a little bit more deeply in?
So financial services obviously is my kind of priority, but I have my counterpart in retail, media, entertainment, healthcare. I think that's fascinating that some themes are common across different industries. If we take example of fraud, retail organization and consumer good might be facing similar challenges, and they can learn from financial services. The same way financial services probably can learn from media and entertainment in terms of hyper-personalization, next best action, next best offer. So there is a lot of synergy that exists between learning the best of different industries.
I cannot agree more, being the leader of all of the partner solutions architects for many of the industries you just mentioned. There is a lot of similarities. There's a lot that's different and distinct, but there is some crossover. Monetization, like you mentioned, in media and entertainment, of course, goes hand in hand with what we're talking about in terms of fraud and payments. So really great to hear what those other industries are and how having that broad view of a customer allows you to work backwards from what is common and what's distinct. Really unique. And I'm super interested to, that I am a nerd about AI. Antoine, what's the coolest thing that you see coming with Gen AI and Databricks?
Gen AI, first there is that notion, I think we all push the limit to what a chatbot can do, what what kind like general intelligence can do. It's great at summarizing, at extracting text, at creating some high-level point of view, but data intelligence is about bringing the reasoning capability of AI that understands your data. That is that next generation of data platform. So it's more around the use of agentic AI, but truly where our leading companies are driving that competitive edge is not about leveraging the foundational knowledge of a model, but the reasoning capability of a model, all their agentic AI system, and simplifying drastically those complex middle office operations. KYC, AML, regulatory reporting, fraud prevention, again, trade reconciliation, all those complex manual processes are about to be drastically simplified with those new technologies coming in and the reasoning capabilities of those frontier models.
I totally agree. And we had a great question here
Absolutely.
about
I thought I'll just kind of...
Go ahead, Addy, go.
No, I'm sorry. I think there was a bit of lag on my side. No, go ahead, Karen.
I was just going to say, we have a great question in the chat here about why using Databricks versus SageMaker. The best part about our customers is they're all in different stages of what their architecture looks like. So I'm going to give you a total architectural answer to that, in that it really depends on who your users are within your company as to how you want to integrate your architectures. Many of our customers want to use a partner as part of their overall architecture. And Databricks is a great example of that, where it's possible for a company to buy versus build, and that might be better for what their architectural pattern is. And so it really is customer specific. And so it's not to say that there's one way to solve a solution. In fact, most of the time, there's many different permutations of how you can solve it. And a partner and an AWS service can offer the same capabilities, and one might be a better fit in a different customer. And so we want to make sure that, just like we always talk about selection on Amazon.com, it's the same way when we're talking about AWS native services versus our partners. We want to make sure that customers have the broadest selection possible.
And using the least number of tools to do the job, right? So we integrate natively with the full suites of product within AWS. So you have your model on Bedrock, absolutely. But you will need those models to be integrated into your pipelines, where we will shine also on the ETL side, and then you need the BI aspect. So it's really think pragmatically about connecting the dots and having the least number of tools to do the job.
Absolutely. Now with that, Addy, I cut you off. I apologize about that. Do you want to go ahead and wrap us up for the last part of the show?
No, just wanted to thank everybody for coming together. Absolutely, that build versus buy is right at the heart of our customers' choices. And Databricks and AWS are really able to kind of help customers make that build decision really easy. So I'm super excited about bringing this back to financial fraud and crime, where we're going to see so many challenges customers face in this post-Gen AI world. So really keen to kind of build more together and help our customers in financial services. But thank you, Antoine, for joining us.
Thanks, everybody, for joining. We are here every other Tuesday. Our next session will be related to media and entertainment, and it will be on March 25th. So please join us then. I'm looking forward to it. And thanks for taking the time to join Industries Live today.